Now we should know how to put the URL into the anchor tag so that we can see the text, but the anchor has the URL as an attribute that'll tell the browser where to take us when we click on that text. So for archaic reasons, we call this an anchor and a hyperreference. So the anchor tag will go around not the hyperreference or the URL. I'm going to cut this, but around the word that you want. So this is Project Grandma. So if I save this is getting closer to how we're supposed to do it. Project Grandma. Now this is how I want the link to look, except I want to be able to click on it and have it take me to that URL that I just cut out of here. So how do we make this anchor have the hyperreference or the URL linked into it? The way to do this is with an attribute. This element can have an attribute. Now an attribute always goes right here, and the attribute name for the hyperreference is href, hyperreference. And now note that because I'm in this syntax highlighting program, Shift Edit, when I hit space, I get a little list of possible attributes. Now, I want you to remember that the attributes go in the opening, not in the closing element. So if I try to put it here, I don't get that little list because it doesn't ever go there. Nothing ever goes here except the closing demarcator and the element name that you're closing. It goes right here after the name of the element, but before the tag actually closes. So put a space and you see, oh, there's some suggested attributes. And the attribute that we want for a hyperreference is href, stands for hyperreference. So the href is going to be, and I'm going to paste in the link. The hyperreference is that link. So let's save it and refresh. It's turned into a link. So now it's an anchor that has the hyperreference linked in there, anchored in there. And you can see at the bottom that the little preview text comes up. If I click on this, it'll take me to Project Grandma. So let's go back. What if there's one more thing we need to do with this attribute? If this attribute, which the attribute name is href hyperreference equals, and then what it equals is the URL, the actual hyperreference. So this is attribute name, attribute value. The values can be really different. It's actually valid to have a file name that has a space in it. But say she had named it hello space world. This is going to cause problems for us because of the way the HTML reads this. Let's refresh and see. What it did is it tried to take me to projectgrandma.com/hello nothing because it saw this space and it thought I was done. So what we need to always do is put quotes around our attribute values every single time. Every single attribute value will always have quotes around it. And this will fix a lot of issues and it'll keep your syntax clean. So go back, refresh. And now if I click on it, it gives me the whole URL up here. Hello, and then it's put this code that means space in there, world. Now, she didn't actually create the page hello world. I made that up. She created the page hello. So that's why it's not found. But you can see that up here, the actual full URL made its way in. So let's go back and let's fix this to what her actual page is. So go ahead and put href equals for all of these links. And the way I'm going to do it is I'm going to do it a quick way. Since these already have the URL here, I'm going to copy just href equals, copy, and put it before these URLs. See how tricky this is, but it saves a lot of time. And then I'm going to copy this part, the closing quote and the closing caret, and I'm going to paste it on the other end of this URL, and you'll see the syntax highlighting changing as I do this because I was creating errors by doing it the wrong way. But now when I finish it up, it's all clean. And now so here's the beginning of the anchor. I also need to close it. So for each one, I'm going to go ahead and copy this, paste right here. It has to be exactly right there. And now I can fill in the anchor for each of these. So if I save this, what's going to happen when I refresh this? You should be able to have an idea that, okay, so I wrote Project Grandma here, but here there's nothing in the anchor tag. There's the value of the attribute, the hyperreference. So the hyperreference is there, but the actual anchor has no content to it. So, whoops, I think I did save all that, but there's only one document open. So save. So if I refresh, what's going to happen to these URLs? I've moved these URLs into the attribute, and now the actual anchor has no content. They all disappear, and there's nothing here. That's because the attribute has the anchor has no content. So I'm going to go ahead and give words to each of these. Now go to save, and then refresh. Now they all show up, and they should work. I can click on each of these and go back. And look, this person actually already wrote some HTML because there's some emphasized or italicized text here. Not sure if they use the emphasis tag or the italics tag because I can't see their code. And look, this person wrote some sort of HTML as well because they have some formatting here. I wonder what code they used. But we can see the source of our web page, but we can't see the source of their web pages. Well, you can, but I'll tell you how to do that later. One question I have is, did any of you, when you were creating this list the first time around, instead of using dashes like I did you use numbers? Did you do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 instead of dash or bullet point? There's a difference in types of lists. There is an ordered list, which would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and there's an unordered list. So there's a way to mark up this entire list as being one or the other, and it's actually required. A list item always should be either ordered or unordered, and the way we do that is we put the beginning tag here and the closing tag here. And the element for ordered list is OL, the element for unordered list is UL. So I did mine with dashes because I didn't want it to be ordered. There's no meaning in the order. It's just a random order. So I'm going to do UL unordered list. And you see that it automatically gave me the closing tag. I don't need it there, cut. I need it down here, paste. So now what this says is that here is an ordered list from here to here. That's an ordered list. And this is a list item. There's all these list items. So the only thing that goes inside, directly inside an unordered list is a list item. So don't get confused when you see this UL begin and then it doesn't stop even though another one is started. What this means is that this list item is inside this unordered list. It doesn't mean that this unordered list is first and this is the next one. This is actually underneath, inside the UL.